they who are giving us this information wanted you to understand who the they were that were overcharging. And the most important thing, as they constantly do, is to make sure that you understand who they are not. And as they said, they were not police officers. Any Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine person, any government official, or any other person you've been programmed to think is your true enemy. Now, think about that. What they're saying is, well, basically, really, what are they saying? They're saying you don't know who these overchargers are. You've been advertised to think that they're, your enemy is all kinds of people, or any number of people, but basically they're saying you do not know who they are. So they go on and say, how did we're talking about the overchargers, how do they work? And they say, imagine that you were a psychopath, and you probably should look that up and see what it is, because it's a mental sickness, and it, you need to know what it is they're talking about. And these psychopaths that you're imagining have almost unlimited funds. Now we're talking about trillions of dollars as pocket change. Now the person that's making minimum wage is just not going to understand what these people are saying. They that are telling you this stuff, they're saying that these people that overcharge have in a total, in other words, all the people taken together, have trillions of dollars. That's just pocket change. Pocket change. What you carry, 50 cents, $1, $10, your pocket change. I want to buy a cupcake. They could buy $1 trillion something or other with their pocket change. So now, two things. One, they're a psychopath. Two, they have unlimited amount of money to advertise with, and their advertising takes away your free will. Okay, so now you understand what it is that they're talking about. So they're saying, if you were that psychopath, you could buy politicians to pass laws, pass any law you want, and they are. You can buy all the advertisement you want, and hire the best advertisers to make their advertisement look like something else. In other words, you can buy advertisement and never let the person that you're advertising to know that it's advertising. You ever wonder how they could say that? You certainly know advertisement when you see it. You see, you got an hour show that you really like, and you get 20% of the time advertising. You get 5, 6, 7 advertisements, one right after another. You know advertising when you see it. The they that we're talking about here are telling you do not know when you're being advertised to. They're telling you that you're being advertised to in shows. In other words, they say these shows that you're watching are saying it's all right to do this or it's all right to do that, and you're being told that it's all right. And, in your daily life, you might not think it was all right, but the show said it was all right, and all your friends begin to think that it's all right. That's advertising. So they hire the best advertisers to make their advertising look like something else, and these same people can buy the right people at the top of your police force, your military, and politicians to do your bidding, and they have. And that is why it would seem as though we cannot beat them. Also, if you were to try, you would have to fight the police and the armed forces, and we know that we can't win that battle. So, do you understand now why can't we win? Why can't we beat City Hall? They own the top people in City Hall. They bought the top people in City Hall. And those top people can tell your army and police and everybody else what to do. So they can tell your army and police to take you out. You understand what they're saying here? Kind of feels like uselessness on your part. There's nothing you can do, which is what they've told you. So if they go on now, how did the they that we're talking about, these overchargers, feel about us? They have no problem taking our jobs and giving them to people in other countries who will work for pennies an hour under horrible work conditions and horrible work hours. They do not care that you lost your job, your marriage, your home, your children, and sometimes even your life. They do not care. They do not care that those foreign workers get paid nothing and have to work in horrible conditions for the rest of their life. They do not care. Enough said. However, they do have enough money to make sure that you do not know who they are and what they do. They have bought the entertainment news media and the news investigators that count. So they own us so far. Now all of a sudden we have a way to rise up and say enough. We have had enough and we are finally going to do something about it. So just what are we going to do to correct this problem of the overchargers? Yeah, that's a good question. You know, that you've sat here and listened to them. They own this and they own that and they own you. And so we get to the point where, what are we going to do? And so they go on, and what they're going to do now is like to see the problem in its totality and see what it is that you can do. And they do have something you can do, and it will work. So you can have hope now. The first thing they ask is, what is the thing worth? You now see the problem. You cannot solve the problem from that side, so we move to the other side. Now we just got through saying that they just did that. They don't go through walls. They don't beat and hammer and bust and break. They go around the wall. So what is the thing? You know, they're asking, what is coal worth? What is Pepsi worth? What is the car worth, actually? So how are you ever going to know if you're being overcharged? You can't solve the problem from that side, so we move to the other side. If you make a minimum wage and work 40 hours a week, you will make about $20,000 a year. If you're the most fantastic laborer in the world, you can make a ridiculous $200,000 a year. Now, if you were the head of a huge corporation or the President of the United States, how much should you make? Can we suggest an amount 20 times a common laborer? What man or woman is worth to us in this society more than 20 times a common laborer? If you get back to reality, you can see that no one is actually worth that kind of money, unless you have all kinds of extra money to pay him or her, and that extra money is gotten by overcharging. So anyone who makes more than $400,000 in 1 year is overcharging, and thus becomes one of those overchargers. We're talking about less than 1% of all taxpayers, and that is not you. Less than 1% of all the taxpayers are overcharging. Less than 1%. And that's who they're talking about. And they're overcharging. And they say it is probably not you, and it never will be either. Those people who are overcharging get an ego boost from the amount of money he or she has stolen from the common man. We do not let people rob, kill, rape, or even threaten another person, even though they're able to by force. We do not let people rob and kill and rape and even threaten another person because they're big and strong, or they're in a huge gang, or blah blah blah. You know, we do not allow that, and we put a stop to it by law, and we've hired police officers to put a stop to it. So in your daily life going around, you almost never get robbed and almost never get threatened by another person because it's against the law. So then the question they have is, why do you allow overcharging? They're stealing our savings, taking our homes, threatening us, taking away our children and grandchildren's future, and even causing our death. Why do we allow it? Come on, really, why do we allow it to go on like that? We allow it because we've been told that it's acceptable in all manner of hidden advertising. And advertisement works. And about there, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, when I make $400,000 a year, if I make one more penny than that, they're going to take all that money away from me. And, you know, it's, number one, it's less than 1% that make $400,000 a year. And you're not going to be one of them, and you know it if you think about it. But let's just pretend that you do. You are. You're going to make more than $400,000. are you really going to sit there and say, it's okay with me. I want to make more than 400,000. I want to make millions. I'm perfectly okay with buying my $100 million picture and putting it in the dining room so that all the people that are my friends that come for dinner get to see that $100 million picture, and it tells them how good I am at stealing from the poor that are starving and dying. If you can do that, go to the bathroom, look in the bathroom mirror, and tell yourself that it's okay to steal from the poor. Now understand, you're making $400,000 a year, so it's still okay even after that to steal from the poor. And if they starve to death, it's because they're dumber than you are. They're just stupid, worthless people. Now, what they want to do is they want to give you some examples now of, so you can see it from reality, what we're talking about here. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you an example in the form of a large multi-plant manufacturing industry, and the top person, the CEO, who gets a huge wage and bonuses. And you've been told to think that person's surely worth more than $1 million per year. And they're being paid way more than $1 million a year, but we're going to use $1 million a year as an example. However, let's get back to reality. You've been taught that a person is worth much more than a small sum of $1 million a year. However, if we left the industry just the way it is and replace only the top woman, the CEO, with 3 top-grade foremen to go down on the floor and see what is actually being done, and that's $180,000 for all 3 of them. 1 each of a chief of utilities management officer and a facilities management executive to make sure all is well with the buildings and equipment, and they're up to date and everything's working. $360,000 a year. 2 top accountants to take care of any money questions. $240,000 a year. 1 top business intelligence specialist to make sure they know what is actually going on in all areas of the business. $150,000 a year. And 1 person to gather all that information that we just got from all the people we've hired to make decisions for the company like the CEO does, and you pay him $100,000 a year. You have just replaced a $1 million per year man or woman with those people, and you have to understand that we don't replace or let go anyone who's already in that business except for the 1 top person. Now, why is the head of the industry worth even that much? Yet you have been told he or she is, and you have believed it. Now, you just saw all those people we hired for the same $1 million. That 1 person can do more, is worth more than all those people that we just talked about. And what they're saying is, let's get back to reality. You've been told that they are worth it, and you've believed it. These overchargers have been at the game so long, they have almost all the money and all the property that's worth anything, and all the natural resources, all the farms, and they're working on all the water. They can do that because they have been overcharging you and buying from you with the money they stole from you. As long as these YouTube, now they're going to point at 2 YouTube sites, and as long as they're available, and they say we suspect it will not be much longer because they point at the overcharges, and the overcharges don't like it. But because these sites are there, and because they want you to get a real view of what in the world we're talking about, and I went to those sites, and it's insane. It's insane. There's nothing. I look at it and say, after seeing both of these sites, I looked at it and said, if you take these people and take what they've stolen, everybody would have food, everybody would have a job, everybody'd be okay. Everybody'd be okay. And you're talking about less than 1% of the taxpayers here in the United States. You're not talking about the world. So, a little hard to explain this to you, but the site at YouTube you go http://www.youtube.com. These are all small, not capitals. /WATCH V equals WOIKIPH 5XCU. And now for some reason the WOI, the I is capitalized, and then K, and then I is capitalized again. I don't know why. And then at the very end the U is capitalized. That might make a difference, so I told you that. That's the first site. The second site is http://www.youtube.com/WATCH B equals KRWD capital J 6 capital D Y A F capital Q. Now, they say to go to both of those sites and look at them and get a feel for where your money is, where the money is, where the world's money is. It's insane, but it's true all the same. Now let's get to the point. If the overchargers were by law made to give back the money they stole from us, we would all be out of debt. We could get our houses back, the farms back. We could soon have good jobs available to us all. Our children would have good jobs, could stay in the area. We could get back our politicians, and the overchargers could not control us anymore. So how are we going to do that? This all sounds too hard and unattainable. That is the problem we face with no solution, and we will fail again. The solution to all this is so simple that we totally overlook it and go on believing there's nothing we can do. The interesting thing about that is every wise group, and this includes groups in think tanks or even individuals that have studied this problem in the overcharges and all that, they come to the same conclusion. Now, I'll understand what they're saying here. Every group, every person, all of them who think about it and think about it and think about it finally come to the same conclusion. This is the conclusion. A populace that knows what's really going on is the only need for the cure. What does that mean? It means that every wise group or individual who investigates this economic problem determines that the problem would be solved if the people of this country were informed and educated. Understand, it doesn't take a whole bunch of new rules, new systems, new anything to get the job done. And that's what they say. It's simple. The need is only to educate us and give us true news. Truth in news. In the education section of Book 4, we will show you that you're not being educated to do much other than work for corporations. It also becomes very apparent that our entertainment news media does not inform us about anything that matters, and it in truth seems to be an outlet for corporate, government, and overchargers' advertisement, and not the news. So then the need is to become educated and finally get the real news. The education part is discussed in the education chapter, and the news part will be discussed here. All it will take is, and basically they're going to get you to the point where we've taken care of education, and we're going to start taking care of the news.